Hi, Luke from SSL, back once again, this time taking a closer look at the heavyweight analog compressor plugin Blitzer. Blitzer is capable of emulating a wide range of classic and modern compressor styles, including your favourite Valve, Varimu, FET and Opto units. Ultimately, it's a Swiss Army knife of analog compression for your session. Blitzer is another premium plugin added to the SSL Complete subscription, so jump over to the product page for a free trial. Today I'm going to give you an overview of Blitzer's features and a quick demonstration on how this can add the classic analog compressor vibe to your tracks.
Let's now take a look at the Blitzer GUI. Here in the top left we start with the input level, allowing us to balance the input signal against the compressor's fixed threshold. We can then adjust the incoming signal against the amount of gain reduction happening in the compressor. We've also got the option here for auto gain to maintain levels based on the threshold and ratio. We then come to the drive control, giving us the ability to add anything from gentle saturation through to full-on decimation of the source material, even before introducing any compression. We can use this in conjunction with the 1:1 ratio to add warmth and saturation and use Blitzer as a unique colour tool when working in the box. The ratio selection at the centre of the GUI is the heart of Blitzer, offering 10 unique compression curves, each with its own individual tone, taking inspiration from classic compressors such as 1176, LA2A, DBX160A and Fairchild units, from gentle 2:1 curves for subtle dynamic shaping all the way to 20:1 opto-style limiting. But why do we only need to choose one? Hit the Blitz button and go all in, inspired by the classic 1176 all buttons in technique to slam room mics or energise an entire mix. Next we've got the transient control, which modifies the attack and allows us to dial back in some of the dynamics of the original signal with our compressed sound. At the bottom of the middle section, we then have the attack and release controls to let you tailor the compressor response to the source material, with super quick attack and release times to tame fast transients, to slower, more gentle times to give body and texture to vocals and melodic content. In the bottom section, we then come to the high pass filter, allowing us to remove unwanted signal from triggering the compressor, great for reducing pumping effects with bass heavy material, followed by the detection sidechain circuit, where we can use the sidechain bell to isolate problematic frequencies and use the cue and gain controls to act only on the selected area, making Blitzer an excellent tool for taming harsh vocals or guitars, softening cymbals, or bedding in loud snares from overheads or room mics. The listen button allows us to focus in on these frequencies we want to remove, and then by adjusting the gain control allows us to dial in exactly how much we want this to trigger the compressor threshold. Finally at the bottom we've got our undo and redo tools, A and B selection to allow us to try different settings and compare them side by side, and preset selection, a great way to quickly try out different settings. And then our HQ mode for oversampling and our contextual help tooltip to remind us how each parameter works if we need a little assistance. Finally, at the end of the chain, we have our output trim to compensate gain levels and a wet-dry mix control allowing us to use Blitzer for parallel compression, great for tucking in Blitz mode to a dry signal.
Okay, so we've had a look at the Blitzer GUI and now we're going to look at this in context by looking at my overhead mics in my drum mix. Now I'm finding the cymbals are a little bit too low and the snares overpowering, so we're going to see if we can use Blitzer to bring out the sizzle of the overheads while suppressing that snare pickup. So let's first have a listen to the drum mix without Blitzer on the overheads and see what you can, or see what I can hear. So the cymbals are there, but the snare is really pushing forward. So let's solo our overheads and turn on Blitzer and see what we can do to bring these cymbals out. So this is just the overhead mics. Now what you can hear that I've done is using the sidechain detection circuit is focusing on the frequencies of the cymbals that I really want to retain whilst pushing everything else down. So I've done this by focusing about 5k and with the gain level dropped down to -15 dB, this is negatively affecting the threshold of the compressor. So everything up to 5k is being affected and everything above that is being left alone, which allows me to drive the level of the overheads up with the cymbals but suppress that snare. So let's listen to this in full context of the drum mix and we'll A/B the Blitzer plugin in and out. So as you can see, the cymbals are really sort of bright and airy in this. And this is a really nice way of bringing that out without having to resort to any heavy-handed EQ whilst keeping the drum bus natural. Okay, so we're now going to take a look at Blitzer on our drum bus, and let's first listen in isolation without any Blitzer processing, so let's turn that off. The drums sound cool, but they're quite dark, so let's see what we can do with Blitzer. Okay, so with a very gentle 3-to-1 ratio, slow attack, medium fast release, we're looking at a very Moo style Fairchild sort of sound. That's really doing it for me, I like that. But let's see what we can do with Blitz mode. So that's bringing a lot of energy, drama and excitement to the mix, but it's probably suffocating the mid-range a little bit, so let's drop that down to 60%. See, that's cool, that's great, that's really tucking it in nicely. Right, that's cool. Let's have a listen now to the entire mix with the drums and we'll turn Blitzer on and off. The drums are cool, but they're a bit hidden, so let's see what Blitzer does to this. It's great. And solo drums again. Cool. That's a really nice way of bringing out the drum energy and drama, pushing through the mid-range. That's great. Okay, so in this example, we're going to take a look at Blitzer on a vocal track. Now in this mix, it's quite a heavy, dense mid-range, and we're going to see if we can elevate the vocals by bringing out some more of the body and texture. So let's first listen to the vocals in context of the mix without any Blitzer processing, and then we're going to solo the vocal and then take a look at Blitzer. As you can hear, the vocals are a bit buried under the guitars, so let's turn Blitzer on, and using a very slow attack and a medium fast release to emulate a very Moo style curve, we're going to see if we can bring out some more of that body in the upper mid range to sit this above the guitar parts. So we're going to turn Blitzer off and just play the vocal track again, and I'm going to turn Blitzer back on. Very small amount of gain reduction and a small lift in the output gain, we've just managed to bring out the upper mid-range of the vocals, sit it above the guitars, and make sure a very busy mix isn't overly clouded and the vocals are nice and clear. Right, in this example, we're going to take a look at stacking compressors in our mix, and I'm going to use Bus Comp 2 in conjunction with Blitzer to try and round out the energy and emulate a classic mastering chain of compressors that you might normally find. So we're going to use Bus Comp 2 like a traditional SSL bus comp, and with a medium fast attack and an auto release, stack this with Blitzer in a classic valve style compression ratio with a simple 2-to-1 slow attack and a medium release setting. Now let's have a listen first without any processing, and then we'll introduce both compressors. Very subtle, it's just rounding off those transients, bringing out that mid-range and energy, but containing the track so it's not all over the place. Let's turn these up again. That's just bringing out the excitement in the drums, bringing out the mid-range. That's a really nice way of stacking it. Great.